to talk about the Lions possibly going after Tyreek Hill or George Pickens, all right? Apparently the Dolphins not doing well right now. And I'll speak on Pickens in a minute and his issues. But yeah, apparently the Dolphins not doing well right now. And, we don't know what's going to happen with Tua. Apparently all signs indicate that Tua could be headed back to the Miami Dolphins. And obviously he's proven to be, probably the most valuable player this year because how the Dolphins look without him. Now you got to remember, the Dolphins chose, instead of keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster, they chose Skylar Thompson over Mike White, which Mike White has some success. He has some success in New York. So with Tua injury, you'd think they would have carried 3 quarterbacks on the roster, but they gave him some money and figured he'd be a-okay. But right now, the Dolphins, they did get a win over the helpless New England Patriots, but it ain't been looking good. And if Tua come back, get injured again, or if he don't come back, right now without competent quarterback play, Tyreek suffering. Tyreek is suffering without competent quarterback play. Yeah, he's suffering. Yeah, he's suffering without competent quarterback play. So with that kind of being the case, and him suffering with without competent quarterback play, maybe they'd be willing to, let him go. Trade him. And, that'd be interesting for the Lions. I think it may be worth the squeeze. I know you have, St. Brown making 28, you had Tyreek making 30-something million. They restructured his contract. But boy, that'll make the Lions that much more explosive. And obviously they probably would want like a J-Mo, but I would just get them some draft picks and be done with it in the future. Because they really ain't going nowhere. I'll try to keep J-Mo, Tyreek, and St. Brown for now until I got to pay J-Mo. And then I make a decision on Tyreek at that point with J-Mo. So the Lions offense would be hella explosive. It probably could be considered overkill, but how would you defend it? How would you defend it? That's the $1 million question. How would you defend it? So, when you're talking about screens and deep plays, and Tyreek was really, morphed himself into, or developed himself into one of the best receivers in the game. He used to be known just as the gadget guy, as a kick returner. That just speaks on his craft. That he worked on his hands, he worked on his route running, and became a complete receiver. He became a complete receiver. So I think, that being said, I think that's important. That's very important. So I think that kid from New Orleans got an opportunity, the Rashid kid, track star, he got an opportunity. I ain't gonna say he's gonna be Tyreek, but the way like he developing and learning to run his routes, he got an opportunity to be a problem. So the Saints might got the next, low-key Tyreek Hill. But, yeah, the Lions getting their hands on Tyreek, that'd be illegal. But it would be worth compromising your draft for a couple of seasons. But the problem about it would be, not being able to build that depth. And then what if Tyreek fall off before you get opportunity to trade him, move him, or whatever happens. But, going from Miami to Detroit is tough. Kind of like, Michael Parsons was telling Detroit Lions fans that Jalen Ramsey wasn't going to go from L.A. to Detroit. That's a tough transition, But, as far as cost of living, and, we got some amenities and stuff, but, Jalen Ramsey, I don't think would have been a good pickup, no matter how much they still trying to say he a top corner. Father Time's come for us all. He's still solid. I think we fine without him right now. So, but George Pickens, another guy who, wrote on this eye black, that go on the eyes and stuff. I'm always open. And he getting frustrated that, he ain't getting the ball. Yeah, he getting frustrated that the ball ain't coming his way. So you know, got semi-benched in that last game versus the Cowboys, and maybe they willing to move him. You know, he was the guy that we drafted Jameson Williams over because he had an injury, so he slid to the second round. So, you know, before the seasons, they said they viewed him as the number one wide receiver. As they number one. So, you know, kind of some frustration, but also they got rid of Deontay Johnson. You know, he went to Carolina, and it's really just him over there. So they need another receiver. You heard them talk about getting Devontae Adams or, you know, possibly Amari Cooper or somebody like that. So they need another receiver. Yeah, they need another receiver, but he's still on his rookie deal. I think 4 years in the second round, so he probably got to be paid pretty soon. But, you know, he would be an interesting pickup to get you over the hump, even if it's just temporary. Big receiver, make plays. I think he'd be great in that offense, looking for that receiver. They can win those jump balls and those 50-50 balls. If you're not 100% sold on Tim Patrick. So, yeah, I think George Pickens would be interesting. And you got to remember, he was the guy. You know, you got to remember, he was the guy. And he was the guy in you know, coming out the draft. He could have been the number one receiver too, but he got injured. Came back, you know, towards the end of their playoff run or end of their season. He looked solid, but if he was healthy, him and Jameson Williams would have been nip and tuck for the number one receiver overall too. But I think that distinguished went to Drake London, who's doing really, really well, and he's doing really, really well in Atlanta right now. So, but yeah, George Pickens would be interested, man. You know, just monitor some situations, physical receiver. Yeah, he'd be very, very interesting with